Hi friends, we are going to discuss the concept of civil society. What's meant by civil society and what is the significance of civil society in a democratic country like India. This short lecture will be especially helpful for UPSC GS Mains as well as optional subjects like political science and sociology. Okay, first, what's meant by civil society? You might have read in the newspapers, civil society, sometimes also referred to as the third sector in a democracy. Civil society is that entity, is that group that exists independent of government, political parties as well as businesses. So what you should understand is that the group that exists apart from the government, that is the state, business as well as political parties. So this grouping, this entity, this organization that comprise the common citizens of the country, the enlightened citizens of the country. So this entity, this grouping is called civil society. Okay, now why do we need this civil society? We already have a government. Government itself is nothing but the representative of the people. And also we have many political parties. Political parties are vehicles which take people's interest before the legislatures. So we already have the government, the parties. So why do we need a separate civil society? There are many reasons for this. In some cases, the elected government of the day, that is the state, may not be sensitive to the needs of the people. The government may act in a lax manner. It may not adhere or satisfy the constitutional ideals, the principles mentioned in the constitution. On the other hand, in some cases the government may also act in an authoritarian manner. It could act in the nature of a interventionist state. It could even intervene in the rights of the individual. So in such cases, there should be a separate independent organization apart from political parties to thrust some amount of pressure on the government to highlight the problems in society. So for that, we have a civil society. Civil society comprised generally of common citizens, the enlightened, educated people in society. These people, they generally take the lead and they highlight the problems of the country, the problems of the people before the government. Generally, civil society, they are distinct from political parties. They don't try or tend to capture power. So this is the unique nature of civil society. I can give many examples for this. If you take India as a democratic society, many years back, the civil society organizations conducted protests for eliminating corruption in India. India against corruption is an example of movement conducted by civil society in India. People like Anna Hazare, Arvind Kejriwal, Kiran Bedi, these people, they led this movement. So this is an example of civil society highlighting to the state that is somewhat lax in nature, that is not satisfying its constitutional ideals or obligations. On the other hand, sometimes government plays a somewhat an authoritarian role. It intervenes in the rights of the individuals also. For example, in the name of development, the government tries to obtain agricultural land. It tends to destroy forest. In such cases also, civil society groups highlights these problems. They conduct a lot of environmental movements and protests. Civil society also heavily plays for human rights. For example, LGBT rights, gay, lesbian, transgender rights. So all these issues mainly related to fundamental human rights, these are also put forward. They are highlighted by the civil society groups before the government. So these are the main roles played by the civil society, and these are the basic objectives of the civil society. Basically, civil societies are definitely needed in a democracy. They make democracies more vibrant. They make democracies more dynamic, and they make democracies more functional. In fact, they are helpful to the government and the political parties also. They tend to highlight the mistakes of government as well as the political parties. Apart from this, civil societies are very useful in certain aspects. The people, they elect their own representatives during elections. In many cases, even though the people may have voted for the party of their choice and the party could be ruling the country, but even in such cases, the party which they elected may not satisfy their needs, or it could act in a way contrary to their expectations. In such cases also, civil society as a vehicle plays a role to highlight to the government, to apply pressure to the government and to satisfy their demands. So in this aspect also, civil society plays a very crucial role. Generally in a democracy like India, people get opportunity to enforce their power, authority only every 5 years. So in between these 5 years, they don't have any say literally. But through civil society, they have an opportunity to apply pressure on the government, highlight many issues and get their issues resolved. So this is one of the important significance of civil society. Within civil society, there are many groups, organizations. For example, NGOs, which are non-profit organizations. There are many pressure groups. So all these they come under civil society groups. Like I said, the entity that exists apart from the government, political parties and businesses. Even you and I, everybody, we are form of we form a part of the civil society in India. One of the important aspect of civil society is that civil society groups do not try or tend to capture power. This is one of the main thing you should understand. Here there is a big advantage. They have the power to apply pressure on the government, but they don't have any accountability here. That is why civil society groups, they stay independent of the political parties. So here they have power without responsibility. So the people themselves, they form a group. So they have a collective bargaining power. They apply pressure on the government, they get their demands satisfied. But at the same time, they don't have any accountability and responsibility. This is one of the criticism generally laid against civil society groups. The reason is that, like I said, they don't have any responsibility or accountability. Sometimes civil society groups, over a period of time, the civil society groups may convert or become a political party also. India Against Corruption is a classic example. Individuals like Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, these individuals, they later formed political parties. So initially a group may be part of a civil society. Later, after highlighting its demands before the government, after applying pressure on the government and satisfying its demands, sometimes the civil society group itself or a pressure group may become a political party in future also. So we can put the example of Aam Aadmi Party. Initially it was a part of civil society. It was a pressure group which fought for anti-corruption. Later that itself became a political party. So this is about civil society. Once again, let me sum it up. Civil society is that entity that exists independent of the government, business as well as political parties. Civil society groups are very important in a democracy. They make democracies dynamic, vibrant and more functional also. Sometimes civil societies also act in a detrimental manner. One of the main criticism is that civil society groups, they act against the development plans of the government. Some political parties have accused civil society groups of accepting money, bribes from international organizations and stalling development plans in India also. So there are negative criticism against civil societies also. They are criticized of challenging the sovereignty of the own country. So there are criticisms of civil society groups also. I hope this short lecture is helpful to you all. Thank you.